A lot of networks report the news as it happens, but only one has the power to report the news before it happens. Through our state-of-the-art wormhole satellite, the Onion News Network Future Channel brings you exclusive news transmissions from the year 2137. Because to stay ahead in today's world, you need to know what's going to happen in tomorrow's.
Well, here it goes again. Government contractors announced today that construction on the Omega-12 particle accelerator, which will destroy all life on Earth and finally bring an end to humanity's suffering, is facing much delays. The Omega-12 is now 3 years behind schedule and like $800 trillion over budget. Today's holdup, which is being blamed on late helium shipments, will set the project back 6 months. At a news talk this morning, the program's boss ruler responded to criticalisms about the delay.
Pushing back the death date is the only realistic way to make sure that when the machine is turned on, that we will all be atomized.
The Omega-12 project, originally presented by Little Congress in 2119 as a sweet solution to the problem of continual life on our wretched planet, was met originally with widespread popular approval. But today, citizens are expressing their frustration at Onion News Network feedback zones all over the place.
It's frustrating. You know, every day the government keeps saying, we're all going to die, we're all going to die, and then it not happens. If I could remove my obedience chip, I'd just kill myself.
I didn't care about the cost because I thought we'd all be dead. But now we're paying $1 million a week for this project and we're still alive. This is why I don't pay to vote.
I'm a little better off because at least I have this baby to sell. But I still want the world gone.
Today's delay is only the latest in a rope of problems that have plagued the Omega-12 project since its fucking inception. Meanwhile, criticalism is piling up near President Performance H. Wilson, who was voted into office for his 6th term primarily because he promised to kill us all.
You don't need a bunch of empty promises! You need to die! Do you want to die? I can't hear you! Do you want to die?
President Wilson's approval ratings have gone down steadily since that first delay, accepting a small rise when he personally murdered 7,000 people with a hatchet. And government watchdog group Citizens for Leadership recently named Omega-12 as the worst managed government program, surpassing even the ill-fated Mississippi Fire Dam and the never-completed South Florida Relandification Program. So, to be continued waiting. For all the latest on the end of the world, keep looking at the Onion News Network. Till then, sustenance to you. News for real, a new poll finds most people wish dinosaurs were still extinct. Remain motionless to be informed. Young news out of the Middle East multicultural battle zone. Violence reamed the Gaza scrap today as fighting broke out between the one remaining Palestinian and the one remaining Israeli. The struggle over the Gaza scrap, which began long before the burn down, has stolen the lives of more than 99% of the region's inhabitants. Here is what the news satellite showed us this morning. The violence began when the Israeli army Lev Rosen entered the Gaza scrap and began building a permashed on the disputed land. The Israeli was forced back over the border after suffering a sprained ankle and a bleeding nose at the hands of the Palestinian army Amjad Olrud. Even after the retreat, the Palestinian bombarded Israel with rocks and empty fire ray cartridges for near 2 hours. One Israeli soldier was injured in today's fight. At a press conference in front of the governmental hovel today, the Palestinian president condemned the Israelis' incursion. The Israeli responded by hollering right back at him.
אם הוא מתכוון לדפוק לי את האוהל, איך שם יזיין לו את האוהל. אני לא אנהל משא ומתן עם טרוריסט.
We go now to Onion News Network war correspondent Vitamin Daniels, full live, just outside the battle zone. How it do, Vitamin?
What it is, Zesty, they were celebrating in the street of Palestine following the successful defensive. But straight moments ago, the Israeli launched another attack and pushed the Palestinian to the edge of the Gaza scrap.
But Syria recently came out with a statement backing the Palestinian and refusing to acknowledge the existence of Rosen.
Yes, Syria has been a friend country for some time. The 6 Minutes War from last year pitted the entire nation of Syria against Rosen, but he beat them back with a a broken bottle.
But after losing 66% of its troops to pneumonia last year, many people thought Israel was finally prepped to end the conflict.
Full truth. But even during the ceasefire, there has been sparring. Last week, an edible cat laundered into the disputed zone. Both men laid claim to it, resulting in a prolonged shouting match between the two sides. And today, Israel renewed its pledge to build a barrier between the two nations, a plan that has widespread support among the Israeli.
But the border wall, the border moat, the border plasmote, and the border photonic crystal laser shield did not stop the two sides from
Full
fighting.
conveyance, but Israel's latest plan is to build a 30-foot-high wall directly around Olrud while he's asleep.
Fuck chance of that.
Most international observers believe the Palestinian army will just climb out.
Well, thank you, Vitamin. I love you.
Love you.
Egypt offered to hold talks, but both sides rejected the offer, suspecting it was a trap by the Egyptian Spider King to ensnare them in webbing and drink their blood. Every word I have said here is true. More news was not possible. Body news now. The major Surgeon General has issued a warning against diets high in fat people. Think stop to halt download.
Rule up this news. Hordes from across the Indiana Grimlands descended today on the Capitol to protest the possible legalization of gay marriage in what remains of their state. As lawmakers debated the fucking bill this morning, protesters chilled it out in the Free Speech Square to voice their opposition, some having traveled over 60 miles by sewage canal barge to shout there. The protest was conjured by a group called the Remaining Families Coalition.
If we allow gays to marry, God will punish us even worse than he already has. We have to oppose this legislation, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of America's packs of feral children.
An Onion News Network poll shows 64% of Grimlanders not burned to death or rendered mute by radiation oppose the bill, cranking the issue as more important to them than detoxifying food supplies or confining wolf mutants to the wastelands.
If I could spawn a child that's not stillborn, I don't want him growing up in a world where two men can marry.
If the Grim legislature fertilizes this law, what would be next? Men married to donkeys will be allowed to take a second donkey as a wife?
If the reps of the Grim legislature legalized same-sex marriage, it would shove Indiana into the ranks of the other 5 states to have done so: Massachusetts, Vermont, Procter & Gamble, Carolina, and Gay Texas. Marriages performed in these states are not currently considered legal in the Indiana Grimlands, meaning gay residents of the state are not allowed to visit their partners on government smallpox hospice boats or dig graves for them when they die. Citizen X436A is a gay from the Grimlands.
If we secure the right to marry, maybe one day we'll derive the right to live above ground. We deserve the same rights as all the other subhuman groups. Are we not as good as the lizard people of Arizona?
Despite the protests, the bill is thickly supported by such liberal-leaning politicians as Harlan Downey, who bought his Senate seat 2 years ago.
This landmark bill is the next step in the war for gay equality that began 168 years ago.
Other Grimlands residents worry that their state could suffer the same fate as Wyoming, which elected by popular referendum to nuke itself after their state legislature legalized gay marriage. If the law is passed, it will raise the number of laws in the Indiana Grimlands to 6. That news is quenched. More hot news in Brownsboro today. A massacre-watching party turned deadly. Blink twice.
Oven-roasted news and delicious reduction. We've all seen the images of razor-toothed mandibles, impenetrable beetle shells, and human bodies torn limb from limb by the bloodthirsty 2-ton bugs on news eye streams. But are giant beetles as for real dangerous as the media makes them out to be? Standing there is Orange Clark, director of media watchdog group USAFE. Orange, how's it hanging?
How it is hanging.
Now, your organization says the news spends far too fucking much time reporting giant beetle attacks.
Yes, Zesty. Last year, there were over 14,000 eye streams about giant beetle attacks,
Right.
while in reality, there were just 389 recorded instances of humans actually being killed and devoured by mutant beetles in that same time.
Right, and your report tells me most of those people were cooling around clearly marked beetle-infested zones or corpse piles where giant beetles
Places where
feed
humans shouldn't be trudging around, no how.
True reality.
But the over-reporting creates irrational fear. So now, most people wrongly believe they're at risk of being pulled out of their homes and eaten in the street by a beetle.
But beetle attacks rank tops in eye views almost every time they're eye streamed, even above twat vision in some zones. Isn't the media just giving people what they want?
But that does not justify scaring people into thinking they'll get sliced in half if they ever go to the soil fields. Beetle footage gets eye views, but statistics show you have a far better chance of being eaten by air slugs or dying from oxygen sickness.
And you point at this Sledge Fact news clip of an elderly woman having her limbs ripped off by a beetle as a particularly egregious example of
Sledge
that.
Fact, I streamed that clip over 40 times per day and produced a 3-hour special about her story. But that same week, President Performance H. Wilson killed 6 senators. There was a major cat meat health advisory, and 30 square miles of Vermont fell into the ocean.
Right.
Where was the coverage of that? And I might point out, Zesty, that the Onion News Network is guilty of this as well.
We report what the public must see.
What about your dung beetle terror clip of the day?
Scope this.
You have an entire show called Hunters of the Blood Mad Beetle.
That is a fact program teaching human viewers how to kill giant beetles if they are attacked. It saved
But
lives.
your August Beetle Month, which consists of non-stop, extremely violent, recycled footage of beetles tossing people into the air and carrying them on their claws
August is
and
when
sucking...
the beetles have their feeding craze.
Yes, but I think the media needs to stop fear-mongering and tell full truth on beetles. Only radioactive giant mutant beetles ever enter population centers.
Real spicy.
90% of beetle victims provoked beetles by accidentally looking at them.
All right,
Beetles
Orange
only
Clark, thank you for standing there. Okay.
Okay.
Well, I've shot my news load. Fresh sports news, we've got the final scores of last night's rape ball games. That news for your brain tank in...